Yo, what up, though, everybody? It's your homeboy, Heavy My Lifestyle, with another episode of the Pop Culture 223 podcast. But before we get into the show and we're bringing our guests on today, please smash that like and subscribe button at the bottom. We trying to be everywhere like space, baby. And we also got Bear on today. Mysteriously, Bear is here. So, you might have seen the person I got on today. You might have seen her on the Gun Club Radio, Madison. She was on there talking to the homeboy A. Ron, uh, the host of the Gun Club Radio, and she has some like she's the most interesting woman in the world. One of them, right? She has about 10 different companies. She shoot competition, so I was interested right off the rip. Um, she fight bulls or ride bulls or did something like that. She was fighting the octagon. She shoot competition. I can't explain everything else she does. So I want y'all to welcome Madison to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. I'm glad that I muted y'all mics when I was talking, but I'm glad that it unmuted when it came on. So just so I ain't F nothing up.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself, Madison. And I said Madison because that was probably the one I was going to remember the quickest and the most. But go ahead, Madison.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you guys. I appreciate you having me on. I guess we have a lot, it seems like, to talk about. A little bit about myself. I own a few companies in the firearms industry. One of them is the Red Letter Project. It's a firearms training company with a very heavy emphasis on Christian mission work. My other company is Modular Target Systems, which is a competitive shooting sports product, and we're really excited to have just completed our pre-sale launch on it going into the holidays. So I got some news and stuff there. Apart from that, I love building businesses. I have a background in some couple different extreme sports, and I love competitive shooting. So there's a lot of activity in my life, and I'm excited to talk about it.
So,
All
okay,
right.
so was it bull fighting or bull riding? You rode bulls, right? Or
Bull
did
riding.
bull riding? So, like, what made you want to do that? Like, where did that come from? Like,
Oh man. Okay. So, good topic right off the rip. When I was growing up, like high school era, I found myself in kind of this world of extreme sports. I did a lot of blackwater scuba diving, which I still do to this day. I did a lot of skydiving, rodeo, competitively fought for a long time. And I originally started kind of in that those sports in my life all sourced from scuba diving. I worked full time at a scuba dive shop when I was in high school, and basically traveled the world teaching dive, helping with dives, and everybody in those types of sports kind of feeds into each other. And a lot of them are multi-sport athletes, so they one thing led to another. One person would introduce me to another person who would do X, Y, and Z, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And I did a combination of all those things for a long time. And then I got a little older and realized that injuries don't heal as fast as they used to. So it's time to find something that is a little bit less rough on the body. And then we landed with competitive shooting. So it kind of worked out that way.
okay, I got a question. What's the difference between black water diving and clear water diving? What is there a difference?
Absolutely. So clear water diving is typically what you see on,
Hold on, hold on, hold on, Madison. Barry, you didn't know the difference. Don't sit here and lie. Act like black guys gonna black guys don't go deep sea diving, bro, unless they on a cruise. But go ahead, Madison. Finish. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So,
Okay.
I mean, maybe we can drag them into it. Maybe we can get them in the water. But clear water diving is more of
I'm a
like what you
fish.
see in the pictures, the videos of people diving in the ocean, looking at the reefs and the fish and things like that. Blackwater is a little bit different. I grew up in southeast coast, so Georgia, South Carolina waters, where it's mostly completely blacked out rivers where you can't see anything more than a couple inches in front of your face. And what we'll do is we'll put our gear on, jump in the boat, we'll tail off to one of our spots and drop down in the water. We're looking for artifacts, shark teeth, all sorts of whatever we can find at the bottom of the river. Basically, you dive to the bottom and you climb your way up the river because it's a super strong current, and you find these crazy things. Like, I've found shark's teeth the size of my hand. Found a bunch of really cool artifacts. We have a ton of stuff we've sourced and put in museums as like recovery items. Really cool. It's just like you never know what you're going to get in the river. So Blackwater's a little bit different. Not for everybody. It's kind of like one of those lost arts where you kind of get into it, and it's like a specialty. Like you kind of gotta know somebody to get it started, if that makes sense.
Mm. So go ahead, Bear. I'm trying to hear your Blackwater, Deepwater question since you know how to do
No,
all
no, no.
this. Listen, snorkeling don't count, my brother. And we in Michigan at Belle Isle. It don't count that you're down there snorkeling in the Detroit River.
But
That don't
but
count.
okay, okay. But look, but not snorkeling, and I would never snorkel in the Detroit River. But like she was saying though, anytime you catch people doing a dive, like from the police in the Detroit River, that would be considered black water because of the type of water it is, it being a river and the undercurrent. Everything she just said, you basically can assume to like the county patrol or whatever when they do like body recovery and car recovery down there.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's different types of black water too. Like for example, some rivers, when you get a tannic acid from the leaves, it's almost like diving in sweet tea. Like that's how I would describe it. And then other
Mm.
rivers are like diving in chocolate milk, where it's just a lot of silt, a lot of sand, especially if there's no current. So there's different types within that, and they're all a little bit different. Some of them you get in the water and it looks like blood is all around you, like with the tannic acid, and the other ones you get 2 feet under the water, you can't see a single thing unless you have a light. So it's kind of wild, the different environments you can put yourself in as a diver.
Well, I watch all that stuff on Discovery Channel. I'm straight. Y'all can have that. I go swimming
I'll
in the
send you
pool.
some videos.
Yeah, I go
Hey,
swimming. I go
hey, like,
swimming in the pool, bro.
hey,
I'm a
hey, like,
chlorine
like
diver.
you, hey, like you said, if the water ain't that clear, and if I can go snorkeling in, I'm straight. I'm not doing all that either.
Okay, okay. So give us your short spiel on cage fighting or competition fighting, or like what you talking about MMA, backyard brawling. Like what are we talking about?
MMA. So like I originally started with boxing when I was a little bit younger. Same thing like high school era. I originally started because I wanted to go into law enforcement. I felt as like a smaller female, it's I think it's necessary to start training those things as early as you possibly can realize that that's a career you possibly want to pursue. So started off in boxing, ended up getting into jujitsu, which kind of snowballed into let's smash these together and do some MMA. Let me preface and just say that I was never a good fighter. Like I was not good at the sport, but I did it. I enjoyed it and loved it. I love getting in the ring and just sparring with people, doing little tournaments, taking on a couple smaller fights here and there. Like I said, it was never my full-time thing. It was just kind of like a hobby of mine, but I really, really enjoyed it.
Well,
Definitely got my tail whooped a couple times pretty bad, but
well, when it comes to shooting competition and training, well, let's just say training across the board, it's always good to get into almost a fight to know. Like Mike Tyson said, you don't know what you're gonna do until you get punched in the face. So to
Mhm.
go and spar or box and all that, that's cool. But when you get in the ring, it's a bell and it's a clock and all kind of stuff going on. You don't know what you mentally capable of doing or not doing in that
Yeah.
world. So it's if you wrestle MMA, you need to go to a competition to see what you can do. If you
Yeah.
box, you want to spar, but it's cool. But once you're in there and it's just you and the other guy, and he's from somewhere else, you don't know where he's from or whatever. It's just a
Yeah.
different mentality. Just like we all competition shooters, so it's always good to get outside of your area of shooting and go travel and shoot different matches in different states or whatever, just to what I'm saying, see how things go. Especially um shoot. Do you shoot USPSA, right?
I do. Yeah, that's where I spend most of my time.
Okay. Barry, you got a
I think
question?
I was just gonna say, I think any sport that you're pursuing on any sort of serious level, uh, getting competitive with it is beneficial on
Mm-hmm.
across the board. Like no matter what sport you're pursuing.
Mm.
That's what's up, man. What you shoot USPSA?
Mhm.
Um, questions: what division, what class, and what firearm?
So I currently am in carry optics. I was shooting a CZ Shadow 2, currently a B class. and I like literally this week changed to an MPA Lock V2, and we'll be shooting limited
Okay.
optics. So making
Okay.
a little bit of a switch division wise, and I'm like really excited about it. The Shadow 2 just wasn't really it wasn't really working for me. I didn't love it. I obviously have pretty small hands, so that was a factor. That it was just there was a couple issues there I wasn't loving, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna make a change and see if I like a 2011 platform better.
I have never.
That's still a little crazy because I get it. And that's why I've been trying to get, Heavy here to, switch over. He already shooting, limited optic, but I've been trying to get him to switch over to shoot that staccato. But that's crazy because you've had the success you've had to be a B class shooter and carry optic with the CZ, but chose to switch platforms. You know what I mean? To go a different route there. That's not heard of as much.
Really? Well, I felt like I was fighting the gun. Like every time I put hands on
Mm.
it, no matter how familiar I feel like I was getting with the platform, I feel like I was just fighting. It was like a uphill battle. It never really clicked. Like I used to shoot Smith and Wesson M&P 2.0. Like that's my main, like if I'm teaching something or my carry gun, that's still what I carry. I love that gun. And I
That's
feel
the
like I
MVP
did
guy
better
for
with
you.
that thing. Yeah, I feel like I did better with that thing than I did the Shadow. And I was like, all right, well, I either go back to Smith and Wesson, keep shooting carry optics, or I kind of wanted to play around with the LO division anyway. So I was like, let's give it a shot.
The
That's what's
reason
up.
I got into limited optics, and it wasn't because I wanted to, it's because my competitor came with a Magwell extension on it, and they was like, "You have to shoot limited optics." I'm like,
Oh, you
"Okay."
got forced into it.
Well, let me honestly, it wasn't even a force because me and Bear really, like, I shoot a lot of different competitions. I'm more of a two gun
Right.
tactical guy. I
Okay.
started off like that.
Yeah.
And we've been shooting a lot more USPSA competitions. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna run my M&P. I got a bunch of them, so I'm just gonna run it. I do have a staccato 2011, and I'm just gonna run my M&P. I got into it, and it was just I had it ported, and I didn't want. I know I didn't want to go on the open, so I was like, let me go ahead and
Hmm.
drop this Apex barrel in there, and looked it up. And they're like, oh, you got to run in limited optics. So I was like, okay, because I had a Magwell extension, and that was it. It wasn't like I picked it because I felt
Yeah.
like
Right.
this is what I wanted to do. One of our young homeboys, Freeman, he shoots carry optics, and I know that's like that division is a huge division when it comes to competition because that's one of the biggest
Right.
divisions
Most
now,
popular.
most
Yeah.
popular. And then Bear has a Mac 9 with a comp port,
Mm.
so he was in open, but
Right.
we were just shooting competition just to shoot, to get the trigger time, to get into this because the movement, the mentality of it, the discipline of it. And then we was like, okay, we're gonna try to take it serious. And then we started training, doing dry fire and all that.
Yeah.
And then I was
Right.
just like, man, I took it when because I'm in a division with guys, people with CZs and people with
Hmm.
2011 single action. So I was like, you know
Right.
what? I'm gonna take this striker fire gun that has this apex trigger and this apex barrel, and and
See what we can do.
I got a little seasoning on it from my homeboys Doug and then from ATEI, and I'm just gonna run at you. I'm just me. I took it upon myself to say, listen, I know what I can do with just striker fire, and I'm just gonna compete with it at that level with that gun. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like I picked it. I was just like, I got it. I'm just gonna shoot it. So that's kind of
Yeah.
why.
I mean, especially if you like the platform and let's just say it's something that you carry and you train with a lot. I don't see any like it's like the divisions they do matter, I think, obviously because it helps you pick your gear, it helps you figure out who you're competing against, but at the end of the day if you want to shoot the gun, just compete in the division, just manage expectations basically if you're running against race guns and things like that.
Well, we got a homeboy. I mean, you can tell him about our homeboy. He has a bunch of open guns, a bunch of limited optic guns, and he don't know what division he want to shoot in. But he's a to he's an older guy.
He'll
He's
switch
older
up
than
on you.
us. He'll switch up
Yeah.
on you, but he had some limitations. He had he was paralyzed
Right.
a year, almost 2 years ago. So he used USPSA to battle back to get back into. Uh oh, he want to
Right.
talk too. he used the competition to get back to shooting because he loved doing it. But he got every open limited optics. Every time he show up, he got a new gun. We don't know what he gonna shoot. And I said, man, just
Mm-hmm.
go shoot the gun that you shoot the best. Nah, I'm gonna shoot the staccato this week. I'm gonna shoot the M&P this week. Now he has a CD Shadow, and I have never heard somebody say they didn't like the CZ Shadow. You might be the first person in the world that said they don't like the
Really?
Right.
CZ.
Well,
That
I'll
that
tell you,
that's why I
like,
was that's why I was saying that. Like you hardly hear people say it. I didn't really like the shadow, and I'm switching to this. Preference is preference, but that's why I was like, wow, okay.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I don't think it's a bad gun by any means. I just don't think it was for me. And I've heard similar things. I have a friend who's female competitive shooter, phenomenal shooter. She's smaller than I am. She's got the same size hands as I do, and she has the exact same issues with the gun. She hasn't changed though. I believe she still shoots the shadow. But when I talked to her about it, I was like, "Hey, am I going crazy, or like, is this just a problem that you and I are going to have with this gun?" And it might not be universal across the board. Like I said, I just never really fell in love with the gun, so I was like, why am I going to continue to spend time on it? I've given it what, maybe 6 to 8 months of training on it, and just feel like I'm fighting it. So, just open to trying something new. I'm going to keep the gun and maybe use it as like a backup or come back to that division later. But yeah, I just never really fell in love with it. And I think that's okay to change platforms if you're not enjoying it, enjoying shooting what you have.
Um, can you when you said the gun was just hard? Did you say the gun was just hard for you to shoot, or you couldn't? You said something, and I was like, I should have asked her that earlier. About the
I
CZ.
just felt like, oh, I just felt like I was kind of having to fight the gun, and I was developing a couple weird habits that I didn't love. And
Was the
partially that's
recoil?
because
What was it? Recoil, or was it just?
no, it's just straight up like trigger reach. I have such a hard time getting around for that double action. Even with a reach reduction kit, I've tried the reach reduction kits in my buddy's guns. I still pretty much had the same problem where I could barely get my hand around to fit on the dang trigger. And so what it was doing is every time I drew, I'd have to draw to this really weird grip just to get around to the double action, and then adjust my grip to continue shooting in single. And it was just like I said, it was creating these really strange, like, kind of grip habits. I didn't love that. So, reach reduction kit, from what I've tried on my friends' guns, would have helped a little bit, but it wasn't enough for me to be like, oh yeah, I love this now. But that was really the limitation. Everything else was fine with it.
Go ahead, Bear.
See, and that's the thing. Speaking of our homeboy, I was telling him, and maybe it was Dre or somebody else. We know a couple people that shoot CZ shadows, whether it's the regular 2 or the orange. And, I was telling them, like, even though it's still double single, I forget who makes it, but they make a trigger for that that's actually like a flatter trigger that doesn't have the full physical, out
Hmm.
there kind of pull. Cause you're right, that reach is something crazy, even for, somebody like us with bigger hands, cause you can feel it, especially when you're used to
Hmm.
having a shorter trigger pull off the rip. But just
Right.
having that, because I think if I'm not mistaken, you can't change the trigger in carry optics. And if you put
Hmm.
something like that in there, it would make it easier. But hey, like I said, anybody, you
Yeah.
switch out and, it still wasn't comfortable for you as overall, you do want, anybody out there, you do want the most comfortable gun to shoot, no matter what your skill level is.
Right. And when I went to like, I was kind of checking out 2011s, and all my buddies in the industry were giving me recommendations and whatnot. And a couple people who I really respect their opinions, they were like, try MPA, like, see if you like the MPA. And I ended up trying the MPA, and the grip is a lot thicker on it. However, the saving grace is that you can get the short trigger. So it was like when I
Right.
put hands on the gun with the trigger, I was like, this is a million times difference. I haven't shot it yet. Like, I shot it a couple times, like, in before I bought one. Actually, it's funny. My gun should actually be at the store tomorrow, so I'm excited to set it up and everything. But I was like, okay, short trigger, 2011, give me something new to work with. Like, have a little bit of fun with it. It seems like it's going to fit a little bit better than what I'm dealing with now with the season trigger. So I'm curious. I could come back later and be like, yeah, I don't really love that either. I'm just gonna go back to my Smith and Wesson, but I have really high hopes about the MPA.
It's funny. She said she went from a CZ to CZ shadow to an MPA. Wow, that's a little jump, ain't it? That ain't no like cruise. Like I'm just gonna start making way up. It's like, hey, bring me that MPA. Bring it here.
Oh no,
Right.
there's
She
nothing. I don't
bypassed the
think there's anything in
staccatos
my
and
life
everything
that I've
else.
cruised to. Yeah, it's always been just like let's just throw ourselves in the fire and see what happens.
Hey, throw me that Excalibur. Give me my space
Yeah,
gun. Throw me my space gun.
yeah. Space
Um,
blaster.
it's my space
Here's all my
blaster.
money.
The why and I'm glad you and I hope that you're not gonna get embarrassed, or if I show some of your highlights of you running and gunning, because I think it's cool and unique that and this answer this question that you're on here and that we can talk about competition in a way that most people think only guys can talk about the competition world, and
Yeah.
because you know about it, from sounds like you know about the ins and outs. Why don't you think more women compete in like USPSA or competition? Now, I go to I shot IDPA because my
Mhm.
homeboy run matches, and there's women out there shooting, but it's Fudville. You
It's
know what I'm
never the
saying?
same.
It's a totally
It's never
different.
the same.
No,
It
it's
is.
it's fun. You understand what I'm saying? It's not,
Mhm.
because if you watch her get down, like, people, I'm gonna show you she get down. So this ain't no like
Hmm.
no run of the mill. Like she's serious about it. Hell, she wrestled bulls or roll bulls or blackwater dived and all that. So why don't you think more women are in the space of competition at a certain
Yeah.
level?
Yeah, I appreciate that question actually. And so I'll give you kind of the long answer to that, but my training company, Red Letter Project, we specifically focus on beginner shooters, right? So when we get our clients are 90% of the time come to us having never shot a gun before. And in our program, we basically work them through like a progressive program of 7 levels. And by the end of it, they're able to, if they want to, obviously it's more geared towards self-defense, but about halfway through the program, if they're interested in something like USPSA, which we very highly encourage, we try to help get them to their first couple matches, right? I'm not a GM level shooter. I'm not saying I teach any sort of performance shooting, but what we can do is get them to the point where a beginner shooter is capable and ready to shoot their first match without getting DQ'd. They understand the basics. They're able to go actually do it and have fun.
That's
So I
big.
say that because what's that?
So that's big. Because I already know why KJ was laughing, shaking his head with their first match without getting DQ'd. I'm like, yeah, that's big right there.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a very basic skill that I think a lot of people don't realize is more difficult than it's difficult, right? Especially if you're not used to it.
Right.
So that's a skill that has to be learned. And I say all that to say we also work with obviously a ton of women, and so this question comes up a lot where it's like, okay, well, why don't a lot more women shoot USPSA? And the number one thing that I have seen across the board after experiencing the same conversation with a lot of my students is that for some reason, there's something internally that makes a lot of women feel like they're not ready, like they're not good enough to go do it
Mm.
because a lot of times, it can be a little bit overwhelming, a little bit intimidating. You're watching these guys run at full speed, shooting as fast as they can shoot their race guns. And to somebody who's never shot, whether it's male or female, that can be intimidating. On top of the fact that they're probably one of maybe 2 or 3 girls at the match. They might not have a mentor that they can, or a mentor or a coach that they can relate to. And realistically, it comes down to having a role model that they can look up and be like, oh, if she can do it, then I can do it as well. Because we don't necessarily relate to the GM level 6 foot tall, 200-pound man and be like, oh, if he can do it, I can do it. We don't, that's not what we're thinking. We're thinking, holy crap, he's going to smoke me. I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm going to go home and feel like I should have never gone. So I think there's a lot of, pressure, and obviously like we, as women, sometimes we put that on ourselves. So I think the best thing that we can do for the sport is very proudly put women that are doing well and are serious about it on like the forefront so that we can attract more young women who are like, or it doesn't matter age, but women that are like, oh wow, if she can do it, I can do it, because they need to see their representation out there because they relate to it. Does that make sense?
Perfect
Big
sense.
nod. That's what I've
Perfect
seen. The
sense.
conversations I've had, man, I had one. She's a good student. She's a really good student of mine. She's been to like 4 or 5 of our events. She's been in our coaching program for the last like 4 months or so. And I was like, hey, like, let's get you through 1 or 2 more lessons. Then I think you're ready to start, like, at least try your first local match, like, see how it goes. And she's like, no, 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 I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I want a couple more. And I'm like, no, 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 you're never going to be ready. Like, you just got to get up there and do it. But you all, like, sometimes we just need that extra little push, and a lot of times we need that push from somebody that looks like us.
100%. AJ, I think
Oh,
you muted yourself.
I could, right, and my dumb butt could have just hit the dang on mic. Hey, Madison, listen, I'm sorry. Um, I do go to church on Sundays, and I also go to Bible school on Thursdays, and I shoot matches on Sundays, and it gets a little bit non-Christian out there. You dig what I'm saying? So when we out there, I can understand why some of the women will be out there, because the guys get to talking crazy, and I can
That's true.
understand why that would, one, intimidate them, two, don't want to hear it, and then three, if you're anything pretty, and it's gonna be some other things going on, like, conversations. Every person out there wants to talk to the prettiest and help the prettiest girl shoot and tell them all like, we out there, and Bear get talked to and hit on all the time because they want to show him all the when you go
Straight
out there
up.
and shoot,
Straight up.
when you go
Okay.
out there, when you go out there and shoot competition, and I'm a magnet too, right? Everybody, and I'm saying this in a funny way, like, everybody want to share their experience. They want to share where they messed up at. They
Right.
want to share
Right.
what they did wrong, what equipment they wearing. But it's a pretty
Right.
girl is going to be a whole different conversation and things going on. And I can understand, like, they don't want to deal with that, right? Like,
Yeah.
you throughout the day, it could be the same situation. You want to come and shoot, have fun, and talk and ask questions, and don't want to be intimidated or have to deal with the a-hole. I'm gonna try to keep it PG with you. The a-hole that's at the range. I get that, because we be out there and we look around, and then we off and running with
Mhm.
conversation, just talking crazy. But we try to be most
Well, I
respectful,
think, like,
especially with women out there.
yeah, and I think for anybody that's kind of in that position where they're like, I want to shoot a match. I'm a chick. I don't really know how to, because you do a lot of times when you go to these matches, and it's nothing. I don't think people mean it in a rude way, or like they're not trying to be intimidating it by any means, but just the nature of it. Uh, you stand out, right? If you're one of a few females there, you stand out, so you're obviously going to drag attention no matter how you look. And what tends to happen is, you come off the stage and you get swarmed by everybody who wants to tell you how to fix everything, because that's just the nature of it. What I usually tell the women that I try to bring into the sport is, look, you're going to get overwhelmed by information. Like, there's going to be a lot of people saying a lot of things to you. It's good to appreciate it, say thank you, but try to source your information from, like, 1 or 2 really reliable, trusted coaches, instructors, really good shooters that are, like, have your best interest in mind, and just be able to filter out the rest of the conversations that are happening. Because no matter what class shooter you are, there's going to be good and bad information. There's also going to be information thrown at you just for the fact that that's a way to talk to you as a woman at a match. So pick like 1 or 2 people that you can take information, like coaching and feedback from, and go off of that, so it doesn't get really, really confusing. I think also too, I will say that one really nice thing about USPSA in comparison to other sports that I've been a part of, like we just talked about, let's just say MMA, martial arts, sports like that. My personal experience, certain aspects of martial arts were not as friendly towards having females in that arena as USPSA is. I'm not saying that as a blanket statement. I'm just saying, like, in my personal experience, I've had, certain times where I didn't think that I didn't feel like I fit in there. I didn't feel like I was welcome there. USPSA, I've never really felt like I wasn't welcome there. I've just had to overcome the initial intimidation factor of it and be like, oh, it's like going to the gym. Like, people aren't actually like obsessing over what you're doing. You're the only one that really cares about it. People might be watching you because it's different, it's new, it's interesting to them. They don't see it as often. But at the end of the day, they're not sitting there typically just judging you for being there, if that makes sense.
In my experience,
See,
and just go ahead, Bear.
no, I was gonna say, and the thing about that is too is, like you said, this reason why I asked you, your class, what you shoot, and so forth. When you shoot, how you shoot, and what you shoot, it's one of those things where you get some of the older shooters that are like the old guy. Then when I mean like the old guys, but you know what I mean? They've been doing this forever. They still kind of got their ways. They're mainly like the main ones stuck in this kind of thing. And,
Yeah.
they may like to talk a lot of trash and you shoot like a girl or whatever. But when you come out there and show them up, have you ever had that kind of experience where it may not have been said to you or trash talk to you, but you can kind of see it in their face after you shoot a match or you shoot a stage rather, and then they kind of like, huh, okay, like, then you kind of get that respect from them a little bit. You ever had anything like that happen?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say, like, if I was an M class shooter, I would probably have that experience more. Being a B class shooter, I'm still kind of at that lower rank. However, I will say,
Right.
most of the time when you walk in a room or when you walk to a match and nobody knows you at all, typically I think the stereotype or the expectation is that you're gonna get up to you're gonna get up to like your wherever the start position is and have to be like walked through how to do X, Y, and Z, or you're gonna have to be like helped through every aspect of the match. And I think a lot of times people are very surprised when female steps up to the start position and they definitely know how to handle a weapon and they definitely know how to go through a stage. They might not win the competition, but I think sometimes you'll see people be like, oh, okay, like she knows what she's doing. We don't need to mess with, like, we don't need to go like flock her about, safety. We don't need to do that. I'm excited for the day that one day I walk off the stage and I know I smoked it, but we're still working towards that. But I definitely think there is something to be said about you actually knowing how to manipulate your firearm well, and people respect that, and it's nice to be acknowledged sometimes.
Hey, Bear, she got chalk on, so I immediately think that she knows what she's doing. She got the chalk on the back. She got the the competition rig on with the chalk on
She
the
got the
back.
what?
So
She got
you
the
got
what?
The little magnet
She got,
chalk, yeah,
yeah,
that's how
she
you
got to
know.
go. I'm over here watching. I'm gonna play. I'm over here watching her get down. She got the little. She
you
got
know how
the.
we,
Yeah. Hold on.
you know how we love, that magic fairy dust. So,
Yeah. She. You see,
oh yeah,
uh.
oh yeah.
I
You
like
see.
the one from Georgia State the best. You have to play it. That one's my favorite. That was me and my friend Chris went to that match, and we had a great time. I think he's in that video too, so you'll see him just burn it down.
Oh, that's who that is.
No, not that match. There's another one. It's Georgia State was recently.
Um. Oh, that was recently. That's the guy you shoot with.
Hmm.
Okay. But you know one thing that I can say that we do. Which one was Georgia State? Is it? Hmm. I'm just on the
I
Instagram page where you do.
think
That's
it
the
should
one.
be the
Oh, I
last
see it. I
one.
see it. I see it.
Yeah.
Um.
That one was such a fun
But
match. That was probably my favorite match I've ever shot. That's why I say bring it up, because that one's by far my favorite one.
Yeah,
Georgia
I
State.
got him. I got it right
no,
here.
that's where you are, and that's where you shoot majority is Georgia.
Yeah, I'm in Georgia. We
Okay,
traveled to that one. We went down to, it was near Savannah. It was about
okay.
month ago or so. So much fun. Such a great match. That's Chris. He's a GM. He's a gangster. He's awesome.
He's a gangster. You heard her say he's a gangster with it. When I seen this is the first one I seen, it's like, oh, look at her just work. That gun
I
don't
was gonna
stop.
say,
She
shoot,
look.
you putting in some gangster work yourself now.
Thank
Hey,
you. Your
she
guys are
got that.
so nice.
She got chalk, man. She got chalk. It's all about the chalk.
You know
Yeah,
how
it's the chalk.
we love that chalk and that
Chalk
magic
adds
fairy
plus
dust,
skin
man.
speed.
One thing that I can say we do, and I was talking to the homeboy Alex Kate. Shout out to Alex Kate Tex. I got an interview with him. We always encourage, like, we out there regardless if we don't know we did bad to after the fact, because after the stages we just clapping hands like, yeah, let's go, we kicking it up, we talking junk, whatever, and then at the end he'd tell you what you got and you'd be like, oh, my hit factor was 3.
Right?
Oh god. you
Yeah,
wouldn't have
right.
known you wouldn't have known the difference. Listen to everybody, yeah, woo, like,
I
man,
know it's such a supportive sport. Like I have to say this. It's like you get off the stage, and even if you just completely blew it, people are like, "Great job, you did great," fist bumps, and you're just like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, okay, maybe it wasn't
Right.
that bad. You see practice score, and you're like, "Yeah, it wasn't that
well,
bad."
it's because we like I said, this is our first year shooting like some competition. I mean, classifiers, and then
Mhm.
some of the guys that we were shooting with was like, man, I just need a mental, like, I just need mentally to
Yeah.
Hmm.
depress it all
Take
out,
a
get it
break,
all out, take a
decompress.
break, and all this and that. And I'm thinking to myself like, man, I'm just out here to have fun. I'm just here to shoot. It's like it's more of a relaxing feeling for me. It's like, no, it's no stress, no nothing. I can deal with
Yeah.
whatever's at home afterwards. I'm out here to have fun. Yeah, I'm gonna be
Right.
pissed that I didn't do good or great. I could have did better. But at the same
Mhm.
time, some of the guys, I'll just be like, I ain't gonna never be like that. Like, Dave was taking it harsh. I'm like, dog,
Yeah.
this shooting. Like,
Yeah.
you can protect yourself, survive, and all that. Well, I mean, you out here getting, time behind a
Mhm.
firearm. You should be having fun, not like, oh my
Right.
god, I gotta go
Yeah.
decompress this and take a mental break, and this is too much. I'm just like, man, you're shooting. Have fun. Keep it moving. It is what
Well,
it
it's
Right.
like
is.
yeah, and it's
Right.
like that, and you look at any high performance, like competitive sport, and every single person across the board talks about how negative mentality and just tearing yourself down after something doesn't go your way is completely counterintuitive to what you're trying to do next, right? Like, I've never understood coming off a stage, cussing up a storm, throwing your mags, and like making a big deal about it, because I'm like, okay, you've literally just destroyed your next 5 stages. Like, and I know that's easier said than done because it is frustrating, but there's something to be said about being able to put something behind you and learn from it, bank it for later, and go back and get your work done at home so that you can continue finishing the match well. And same goes for any other sport. Like, negative mindset has never helped anybody, I don't think, performance wise.
Um, and
Yeah, it'll definitely slow you down,
yeah, so
take you off
yeah,
your game, off your square. And the next thing you know, like you said, the next stage, you destroying that one, and then because that just basically
Yeah.
compounds it, makes it worse. And now the next stage, you even worse at it. And yeah, yeah, you got
Yeah, snowball.
shoot USPSA or any competitive shooting. Like you said, when you start talking about major disciplines of sports, especially extreme sports, that have some level of danger to them, you really have to be able to, get rid of it.
Yeah.
And just say, hey,
Yep.
okay, cool. I can do so good on this one, on to the next one.
Yeah.
what was
And
one of the? Go ahead.
oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, like, especially when it comes to sports that you are dealing with a lot of risk, the when your life is on the line, when your health, your safety, you don't have room to let your own mind get in your way. You're gonna get yourself hurt. Luckily, with shooting, it's not necessarily as risky, in my opinion. It's a pretty safe sport for what it is. Um, but yeah, that's not something you can allow yourself to deal with, because that's going to cause a lot of chaos, anxiety, and panic. And if you panic, then you could seriously hurt yourself. So having some sort of like emotional control is like step number one for doing anything high risk.
What
Right.
um what is some hurdles mentally and physically that you had to get over when you first entered the competition world, like coming from, maybe I want to, well, just some of the risks and the hurdles, because I would say fighting is not, because honestly, that probably helped you with your movement. It probably helped you with your steps because I'm watching your steps and movement, and especially with boxing, because boxing is kind of like
Yeah.
guns are up forward front, and you got to step to a target or step back. So
Mhm.
what kind of hurdles did you have to kind of like overcome mentally and physically
Yeah.
when you was in the sport?
Oh, that's a cool
Mm.
question.
Haha, cool
So I
question.
that was like shooting technique. Oh, you just went black.
I
Okay,
know.
there it
Go
is.
ahead.
Sorry, my little thing. Um, athletic sports, like I'm naturally a somewhat athletic person, but sports have never come naturally to me at all. Like I was never amazingly good at any of the sports I did, but I was just consistent with them and I stuck with them for, a long time. Academics is where I naturally excel. Like that's where I can pick up something instantly. But when it comes to anything like a physical sport, a team sport, I have to take a lot longer. I have to try a lot harder to get anywhere with it. So it's like whether it was like I mentioned earlier, I was never good at fighting, but I did it for me because it built my confidence a lot and it exposed me to just a different part of myself that I had to work through. Shooting, of course, there was an aspect of okay, I am somewhat good at this. Now I just need to improve these things. There's always been this aspect of like I know I'm going to have to put a little extra time in because I don't naturally pick up things that well. Like it's taken a lot longer. Like I remember back in the day, um, so I got my start with shooting in the military. I didn't get good at shooting until I started investing in like private training outside of the military. But all I remember, like when I was 18 something years old, I failed the pistol qualification multiple times before I ever like figured it out. Like it just did not come naturally to me. So it just took a lot of extra work. And with competitive shooting, I think it's the same thing. Granted, I think there was a big time barrier the last couple years. It wasn't until like this year that I've been able to really, really kind of sink my teeth in and start focusing on it. It was always like I'm doing this as a supplement to my other training, and I'm doing it as much as I can, schedule dependent. But now, like my businesses are scaled a little bit differently. I have a lot more time for myself and I'm able to actually put a lot more work into the USPSA side of it. And it's been really fun, but it takes me a lot to be able to build talent, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I'm just like I said, I'm asking you a question while I'm watching you work, and it's just like, what you talking about? Just you look like you
Right.
was well off physically, but I know when it comes to like shooting and understanding stages, it's always a mental click. Like where's what at, and some of that can be intimidating, and that's why I was saying most women don't really get into the sport. So when was the who did you learn or when you trained with and it was like the aha moment, like you was like, oh, that clicked. That was one of those even it didn't have to be a trainer or instructor. You said mentor or somebody in
Yeah.
the space that told you something. Because I was talking to Freeman. He's younger than us, but he's been like he's master now. But we was
Hmm.
talking to a guy named Marlo. He's an A shooter, and then I was talking to Alex Kate. He's a
Hmm.
master shooter. I think Alex is a master shooter, and it was just like
Yeah.
little gems that they dropped on our conversations. I
Hmm.
was just like
Yeah.
one was don't shoot faster, shoot sooner. Um, and Marlo, what did Marlo say, Barrett? I can't remember. What he
Man, Marlo
said.
said a lot, man. Marlo said a lot. You, I hate to say, hey, shameless plug, but you might have to just go watch the episode.
Oh
And I'm
yeah,
talking about
shameless
not just
plug.
not just Madison, but I'm just saying anybody because I mean Marlo dropped a lot of gems in that episode. Like we could literally just roll B-roll footage of what Marlo said, and it will all be kind of just helpful hints to it
But
too.
I know one thing
Uh,
that the one that Alex said was don't shoot faster, shoot sooner. So what was one of those kind of gems that linked in? You like, oh, I get it now. It makes sense.
Man, there's been a lot. I think what really clicked was when I started taking a bunch of classes from like really high level USPSA shooters, and they explained their training regimens to me and like how they view dry fire. People, the guys that come to mind, Like their idea of dry fire is so drastically different than the average person's understanding of dry fire that it's like that's where the disconnect I think usually happens. Um, and there's a bunch of good books out there. I'll throw out some names just because they're phenomenal instructors. But Mark Smith, JBS Training Group, amazing instructor. He was one of the first guys that like kind of broke down dry fire and like what it's supposed to look like. Let's see, Ben Stoker's obviously a great one. All those guys in his group are awesome. Lane Grease, Chris Workman. Chris Workman is he's taught me more about shooting than I think anybody because he's also one of those people who he's a phenomenal shooter. He has never one time made me feel inferior in the competitive world. No matter how good he shoots and how bad I shoot the same stage, it is still always constructive criticism in a very positive way. And he makes sure at the end of that constructive criticism, there's always like, oh my gosh, you did freaking amazing. You should be so proud of yourself. Like he's always made sure that I don't feel inferior to the other competitors, which I've always really appreciated because, there's different learning styles. Some people do better just getting hammered and getting yelled at that's not me. I need the positive reinforcement. So, just being around guys like that who are extremely capable, but still like aware of the different types of, I guess, like how people can take in information because he knows that I wouldn't do well with a bunch of just hammer criticism. But yeah, I don't know. Like I'll have to think about like a specific gym that kind of comes to mind. I think it's more so a culmination of learning and understanding how these high level guys are really tackling the idea of dry fire. I think that made the biggest difference in how I viewed competitive shooting.
So go ahead.
I don't want to jump the gun, but just looking at because putting my producer hat out there, just looking at time and everything else. Everything that we've literally been kind of talking about kind of segues perfectly into what you got behind you there and the business about your target. Can we talk just a little bit about that? Because that goes everything between the training, the dry fire, what I'm saying, and everything else we've been kind of talking about. So let's get into that a little bit.
Hold on. Bear, I got time. Now, if you don't got time, don't be rushing our guests, bro. First of all, don't be rushing our guests.
I want to know about it.
So before you go, okay. So what's crazy? I was going to segue and say, look, this is a perfect time to tell us about the birth of what is it called? The company. So go ahead, spill it. What's the name of the company?
Modular Target Systems. So yeah, it was a company that was born out of a specific need that I had and a need that me and my friends had too. So what it is basically everybody's heard of scaled targets, right? Scaled targets are basically put it in the camera. There we go.
Hold on one second.
I don't know if you can see it well, but
resume.
Here we go.
You got the full screen, Madison. It's all on you.
Yeah, I got everything. So scaled targets are full-size targets scaled down to simulate distance within a small area. So this is important because how you approach each target it varies depending on the level of difficulty, right? If you cannot accurately simulate that in training, you're probably wasting your time. So these are really cool because these have been around forever. Like scaled targets, they're usually in cardboard format or paper format, whatever. They're great. I've used them for as long as I've been training, honestly. And the issue I was running into is that they would get worn down a lot. They would get torn up. The most important thing was like I would tape them to the wall. They'd fall down. It was really annoying. It took forever to switch around a stage if I wanted to. And most importantly, it was two-dimensional. Like you tape them up to the wall and that's about all you got. So I kind of had this idea where I was like, okay, what if we made them magnetic and made them into an entire system? That would make it a lot easier to bring to the range, set up little stages, like little dry fire stages that make it easier to change up drills quickly and really get a very good, accurate 3D representation of what I'm trying to drill out. So that's kind of the problem I had personally is I just wanted something more modular and more durable. So me and my buddy, Zach, who's my business partner, we came together. We made these really high quality modular targets. They're magnetic. They have the scale sizes on the back. We have the no shoots, the hard cover, and everything. We have the little magnetic target stands, which have like these stupid tough magnets. So basically, what you can do is you can simulate like a little 3-dimensional stage, drills. They all connect together really well. So you can literally, like, the sky's the limit for training. And they stack up really nicely as well. So, like, if you have a whole stack of them, you literally just smash them together and you can throw them in a bag and travel with them. That's what we use them for. We'll throw them up in the hotels and they'll be magnetic to whatever you got around, door handles, things like that. So it just honestly made my life easier. And, you know, I'm a business lady. So I was like, how can I bring this idea to life? And yeah, we brought it to market super quickly. Um, Ended up selling out our pre-sale in 45 minutes, and we're working on our next like actual launch. But it's been fun, and hopefully my goal is to make competitive shooting a little bit more like dry fire, at least a little bit more engaging and fun. But also some really, really good training aids. So sorry if that was a long explanation, but
Uh, check. Okay, we back. I got a lot of questions about that. And everything is love here. So I'm just wondering, what do you say to the critics that say, "Hey, Madison is not a GM shooter. How can she create something of this design?" Like, what do you say to that?
I don't really know what the difference like a difference between or I don't know what the product difference for a scaled target would be if you were a GM or B class shooter. Like, they're scale targets. You can't really mess them up, to be honest with you. And second of all, I think as a B class shooter, I need the dry fire more than anybody else. So these are made for me. If you guys want them, you can have them too. But we've gotten a lot of attention from GM level shooters, people who are really, really well known in the sport, and they've all been very supportive of it because they see the benefit of it. And you have to keep in mind that this idea came from those high level shooters. This is not a new thing. Like, scale targets are not a new thing. The only thing we did was make it modular and magnetic.
See, the thing I like about it the most, once I started kind of, digging into it, like I think it was one of the Instagram video you were talking about it. You were saying that basically all you need is whatever different, size length of PVC you need for the stands and everything. You were talking about how everything is put together. I like that because it gives you the freedom to have them not just at different distances, excuse me, but also different
Mhm.
heights as well. So if you want one kind of low, to similar like low targets, or if you want something higher, and so forth,
Yep.
so forth. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm looking across, like, I have my garage little studio thing set up, and right across is I have these walls with mesh built out, and I have about like 5 or 6 target stands over there set up in a little stage type array, and every target stand is a little bit different height, which is nice because you think about at a stage, how often do you go to a USPSA match and every single target be the exact same height? Like, I don't think I've ever seen that before. So the whole point is that it's customizable and it's not as expensive as something like virtual reality, which is going to open the 3D world up to a lot of people. It's obviously going to be a little bit more pricey than your typical cardboard scale target, but that's because these things are going to last you forever. They're giving you 10 times the benefit and they're super, super high quality. So it's like, it's that middle ground between the two.
Can you
That's
explain
what's up.
to go ahead, Bear? I know you said you had
No,
to go in a little bit.
I was just saying that's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
I
Can you
was
can you
big
explain
up
the
there for that. Yeah.
mathematics? Can you explain the mathematics on the back? Because you know what, I'm looking at these damn things and I'm just like, okay. I was sold once you was able to put you can make hard targets because I love shooting at hard targets. I was just like, man, that was sweet. You can just almost dress them up how you want to. Take the magnet on, take the magnet off, yada yada yada.
Yeah. Like, basically
And
just,
yep, the world I come from, that's all that's there is hard targets. And I'm not talking about like
Hmm.
USPSA. I'm just talking about like the 2 gun matches I shoot. It's
yeah.
all hard. It's a lot of hard targets, a lot of no shoots, but just because it's like the
Right.
hands up RDPA, but it's a lot of hard targets. Um, And I was always wondering, because I don't know. I'm just like, you want to educate me and educate the world. Explain the difference of the sizes and like the information on the back, because I was just like, man, I don't understand. I'm like, why are these targets? Why are these not like 8x11 target? Why are they so small? And what's this and what's that? At different distances, they're different sizes, and I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
I had no idea why those things
Hey,
were
I get it.
certain sizes.
I am the same way when it comes to numbers. It blows my mind. I'm not good with math, so this is where my business partner came in and made sure that this was all done correctly. But to simplify it, right? Like this is a third scale target. Like it's a third of the size of the regular standard USPSA target, whatever. This is a sixth scale, right? So they simulate different sizes when you put them at different distances. So, for example, for the third scale, on the back, we have 1 foot equals 1 yard. So if you put this 1 foot away from you, that's going to basically simulate that it's 1 yard away from you. With the sixth scale, same thing applies, except for it's a little bit different. So on the sixth scale, it's 1 foot equals 2 yards. So it's going to simulate, if you put this at 1 foot away from you, it's going to simulate that you're 2 yards away from it because of how your eyes visually see the size, I guess you could say. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you getting there. I'm looking on the back. I,
Basically,
Oh,
basically
I
to
get it. I get it.
yeah, basically to simplify it, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? The goal is basically to push the fact that this target is closer. I need to approach it in XYZ way, and this target is farther. I need to settle my dot more and control my trigger a lot more. That's basically what you're trying to get at. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but for those people who want to perfectly mimic stages or perfectly mimic like distance drills or whatever, it helps to have the skill size, because if you don't have any reference of how far you'd be shooting it, like I said, you're not able to apply the same tools that you normally would be actually using in live fire.
so give us like a scenario of a dry fire session with Miss Madison when it comes to that. Like, are you putting 5 or 6 out? Or are you working on entries, outries? I'm about to say outries,
Outreach.
entries, entries. What we call it? What we call it when what we call it when we back up out of
I can't
target?
remember right now. Yeah, I can't remember.
We got our own
That's a you and
terminology
Freeman
out
thing. I
there.
can't. Yeah, that's a you and Freeman thing. I can't remember what y'all call it right now, but yeah.
Yeah, we got our own terminology. We just come up with stuff like, yeah, man, I just backed out that target
Outreach.
like a
I
G.
like that. I'm gonna
I
steal
was an
that.
Audi on that. I was an Audi on that target, man. So we throw our little neighborhood slang on it. But like, give us a kind of a little brief description of a dry fire session with the targets and like how you would set them up. Now, yeah, I know you can't show us, but just
Yeah, yeah. So it definitely is going to depend on kind of what I'm focusing on at the time. So I like to basically have some drills that I'm consistent across the board with. I do every single time I pick up my gun. Then there's other drills that drills or skills that I work on in isolation because I'm struggling with them or because I saw some sort of deficiency. So I'm just going to give you a general example, right? So let's just say I have 15 minutes to go dry fire between, I don't know, work calls during the day. Probably going to pick up my gun, do a couple minutes of just standard like draw, press 2 times on whatever distance I choose that day, whatever it is. Just get some reps there. Then let's just say, for example, I want to spend the rest of my time isolating a very specific skill. Like, I struggle a lot with these stupid hardcovers, like the black the black hardcovers. Like when they start throwing tuxedos and partials and stuff on there, my
Can't stand them.
accuracy, yeah, it lacks a little bit. So I might set up a little target array with a couple partials and really work on transitions and making sure my dot settles in the right place and being patient visually. So I think it's good to have consistent drills. I think it's good to really focus and isolate what you're currently struggling with, and you get your data from the live fire. So if I go to a live fire training session, I'm just trying to basically double check what I'm working on in dry fire, but it also gives me data and information to take back to my dry fire sessions because I need to know what to work on. So I don't know, I'll try to give you another example. Let's just say I shot Georgia State that one weekend. If I remember correctly, I was struggling with the hardcover targets, and then I also threw a couple mics on some distance targets. So my last month or so has been focusing really hard on hardcover and throwing out these little 6 scale targets at like simulated 25 yards or so, because I know I've been struggling with that. And that's going to change as things go forward. Like when I get my MPA in the mail tomorrow and set up my new belt rig and everything feels weird, I'm probably going to drill down on a bunch of holster draws and reloads until I get used to the gun. And then from there on, I'll see what comes out of the matches and see what I need to focus on and repeat that process.
A day in the life of dry fire with Miss Madison. Sounds awesome.
A day in the life. Yes.
So, and this like off season, we've been talking about like what's going to happen, and it's been a lot of dry fire involvement. And I always wanted to get like those papers, like Barrick has the cardboard ones, and I was like, man, why? Like I'm thinking like, okay, where I'm gonna set this up at, and I'm gonna put these papers around, just walk around and set up. Like I got junk all in the basement, so I just kind of dry fire on that stuff. I like, okay, my shirt over there, my shoes over there, and I just get to working. But so I was like, when I seen it, I was instantly like, oh, that's smart, especially because of the hardcover, and you can change it,
Yeah.
interchange in and out. And I remember you saying something on the show about haters, and it's people just hating on us just to be hating because they see themselves in you, because you probably created something that they wish they would have created. And
Yes.
that's why I was wondering, like, what people, she's not a grandmaster, what makes her da 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 da, think that she can,
I love
especially
that. That was such a
she
good
can
question.
do this.
Yeah, that was such a good question. I love talking about this topic because it is so relevant to any. It's crazy. No matter how good your product is, no matter how good of a business person you are, there are always going to be people out there that don't know anything about how a business operates behind the scenes. And really, I'd say, because our business page for Modular Target Systems has grown from 0 followers to almost, I think, around, it's close to 5,000 now in like the last couple months or so. Like we've poured a lot into the marketing of it so far. So anytime you have 5,000 eyes on your product, on especially a new product, you're at some point you're gonna have somebody comment something stupid or something nasty, and it's just like you got to take it for what it is. The hate comments we've gotten so far have really had nothing to do with the product itself, besides the fact that they're like, oh, that's stupid, I'm just going to spend $5 on cardboard targets. And I'm like, okay, that's totally fine. You probably don't understand the benefit to what we're selling. And then the other comment we've only had like 2 or 3 comments say this, but when they did, it caught my attention because I thought it was interesting. But we got a comment the other day saying, oh, you've got to be kidding me, I'm not going to pay for plastic targets that I can recreate on my 3D printer or whatever. And I'm like, this is pretty funny because, first of all, you don't understand how to make a sustainable business if you don't think that margins are important, because you have to make money to be able to recoup costs on things, to be able to pay employees, to be able to pay for marketing, things like that. So obviously you have to have a margin in a product that's sustainable. So it's almost laughable reading comments like that, because you're like, okay, like what am I supposed to take from that? The second thing is yeah, obviously, if you have plastic, you can recreate them, but the hours and hours and hours of, like, hundreds of hours of R&D that we put into these targets to make them as high quality as they are, I'm like, sure, you can go replicate your version of it, but they're probably not going to compare. And there's going to be people out there that are looking for something really high quality, that are looking for something that's really well made, and sourced from a small business. And it's honestly, you're paying for convenience too, because you don't have to go spend hours of your life designing stupid plastic targets because somebody already did it for you. So it's like, I don't know. I always look at hate comments, and I first of all, I look at the account and who's saying it. And 9 times out of 10, it's from like some anonymous account who's posted like hate memes about random people. And I'm like, okay, unless it's coming from somebody that I truly value their opinion, typically I'm going to look for areas that I can improve and get feedback from them. If there's nothing that I can legitimately take from the hate comment to improve my product, I'm probably just going to brush it off my shoulders.
Only why I said it, in we know a couple of people that's in the not that's in the game that not necessarily like this, but just make products, and it's always I must say it need they need to be stamped by somebody of high caliber in the Instagram or shooting world to be like, oh, this is a great product. Like it had to be stamped by this person for them to like it, and it's like, why do people need to get stamped for approval from somebody else to opposed to just looking at this product and saying this may work for me. This is a
Yeah.
small company that apparently she knows what she's talking about because she's in the world of shooting, and that's
Right.
always been my thing. Is I like people that make products for shooters. Like I like shooters that make products for shooters. Don't
Mhm.
just be
Right.
the corporation that just makes a product for me because you see the need. I want a product made by a shooter for a shooter. Like I
Yeah.
know that this is designed with love, care, and it's not just a corporate saying, "Okay, we can fit this, we can get this." Let's throw it in there, throw some marketing behind it, and it's just gonna do what it do. And we gonna pay X amount of dollars to this big wig Instagrammer that may not even care, but he just they getting a check and they can just go and push it. Now,
Yeah.
all some different
Right.
products are different, and I just, what I'm saying, I can just see it being like, well, such it doesn't have a logo on it from this person, that person. Why should I want it? You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I, it's
Well, and it's
it's
funny because it's funny because it's also networking too. So I'll little behind the scenes on the
right.
industry, right? It is all in who you've happened to brush by or happen to make a DM conversation over Instagram about. It's like some of the people who are sponsored by huge, well known, reputable companies. It's because they know somebody there. Like I'm not saying all of them, but like a lot of times that's what it is. So it's like I don't think when you're buying something, you have to necessarily be like, oh, if this person doesn't endorse it, I'm not buying it. It's like look at it, use some critical thinking. Do you think it's going to help you, or do you not think it's going to help you? Maybe ask people in your circle who you respect their opinions, but like learn to make your own decisions because a lot of times the influencer marketing is kind of a smokescreen. I'm not saying it always is, and I think there's a lot of really, really high caliber shooters out there who, when they do speak about a product, we need to listen. But I'm just saying, like, you don't always have to have the influencer stamp of approval to think a product is good. And like you said, that you can use it.
Yeah,
Hey, you
that
know what?
go ahead.
I'm gonna say this before I go because, like I said, I do gotta get up out of here. But I will say this. I think training aids are like holsters. You know, you're gonna have a million of them. That's where you should have a million of them because not
Yeah.
all of them are gonna work for you. Some of them may be
Mhm.
better ones. You may have different ones for different scenarios and so forth, so forth. But I also look at it as the more the merrier. You know what I mean? You can never have too many of them. I mean, technically, yes, you probably can have too many holsters, but you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying though. When it comes to the training
Well, you can
aids,
try.
they
Yeah.
all,
Keep trying.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and they all
absolutely.
serve their purpose. But yeah,
Hmm.
like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and get up off here. Madison, look forward to seeing you in person one of these days. We're gonna, me and KJ been trying to figure out some things on some traveling for some shooting and stuff that's,
Yeah.
in the works. But Kevin, I'll get with you
Okay, hold on, let me
Nice to
pause
meet
this.
you. Thank you for the conversation.
for sure. Appreciate you. You gonna
Okay, we're back. I had to do some stuff with on the screen, so just me, my pretty self, and we got Miss Madison. Yeah, get rid of Bear. That's my guy though. He kind of first kind of got me off into the whole podcasting, and they had a studio, and that's where I first started at. So
Oh,
shout out to my
cool. He was
dog
very
Bear.
nice. I like talking.
Yeah, yep. We got other things in common. We haven't been knowing each other like my whole life, like
Mhm.
2 or 3 years, but we just, like just definitely kicked it off and linked up real, we just connected. We got, things just work the way they do. Um,
Awesome.
the, what, and what I was going to say is, yeah, when he was talking about, it's I think that the product that you're making, one makes people think like why one or why I didn't do it, but it also gonna push somebody else to make something better. Or it's just what I'm saying, competition in our space is just it's good because more
Yeah.
stuff that you can see to make stuff better. Like now I think like the world of 2A it's getting better
Mhm.
with the education, with the training. More people are shooting, more people are getting into competition. I want more women to get in competition, and that the products are becoming better because like I said, shooters are making products for shooters. You got companies
Yeah.
that's making products for us.
Right.
Now, we had issues when the COVID hit. It was, well, some companies was out of there, and the landscape of political things.
Mhm.
But I think that all in all, that more products that we have out there for us to train and get better is a
Mhm.
plus. And I definitely think
Yeah.
that product is. I was in the market for something, a training aid that I could deploy, put up, and then have to get no tape, stick it on the wall, fall off, and all that.
Right. I usually say it's like, because there's a lot of training aids on the, you can get bogged down by figuring out what's necessary, what's not necessary. For the longest time, regardless of the company that I have now with the scale target, with the magnetic scale targets, what I would always tell students is like, if you had to invest in your in two training aids, it would be, for me, scale targets in some capacity and a shot timer. Like, those are the two things that I think are necessary to have a good training session for dry fire. Apart from obviously like your range belt, holster, and mags or whatever. But those two things is where I would put my initial investment.
And I know we kind of sped past it, and because you got a bunch of different companies, do you like one better than the other? Like, is this like your baby, or it's like, oh man, I want to put a little bit more. I'm gonna put a little bit more sauce on this company than the other ones.
That's a fun question too. It's for a long time. So Red Letter has been my company for going on 5 years, I think now. So that's always kind of been my baby. There was a significant shift about like a year and a half, 2 years ago, where I realized that in order to successfully run any business, you have to be able to emotionally detach from what you've created, because if you get too emotionally attached to it, it will never grow because you're going to be stuck in your ways. At least that was my experience. So over time, it used to be Red Letter. I would be like, Red Letter's my baby. I wouldn't let other people come in and help me manage it. I was really hard-headed about um, who I brought in and things like that, which I think you do have to be very careful and very picky with who you bring into your company. But I was to the point where I was like destroying myself trying to do everything on my own. And I just realized, like, okay, this is something I need to take a step back from and view as a business, not as a child that I that I have like created, basically, because that is what it is. Now the training business, selling a service, has been completely different from selling a physical product. So I won't say I like one more than the other. There are aspects of each that I like more than the other one. Like, I think it's a lot easier and it's a lot more fun to market a physical product, but I think it's more relational to sell a service, obviously. So there's like things I like and don't like about both, but I wouldn't say. I mean, I obviously have a bigger connection to Red Letter, I think, because of the mission work that we've done through it. It's obviously something you cannot emotionally detach from, but business wise, they're just different, I guess.
So, did we touch on exactly what Red Letter mission? Well, I know we didn't say this, but exactly what's the mission with Red Letter, and exactly, I know this is Red Letter. Just tell us about Red Letter. How about that? Just
Yeah,
just
yeah.
just do that.
Yeah, thank you for giving me a place to talk about it. Red Letter has been it's been a beginner's firearms training company, but we very very much believe that God puts enough emphasis on the value of human life to make it worth protecting. That was our mission from day one: is to instill that in other people, make it possible for other people to become extremely capable in that area. Because it is a faith-based company, we spend a lot of our time doing missions around domestic violence work, prevention, education. We try to help as much out in that field as we possibly can. We've spent time out overseas doing mission work in that aspect through Red Letter. We've done it in our local area in Atlanta. We've done it at our events. So we have a big heart for that. My mother actually works full time for me. She's worked full time for me for about last couple of years and part time prior to that. So it's kind of like a family business at this point. Like my brother's interned at my company. My mom has worked full time. My grandma's actually probably going to end up working part time for me here soon, doing admin work. So on top of that, it's like I've hired some of my best friends. I've hired people that I'm close with, and that always doesn't always go as planned, but it's been such a blessing. And Modular Target Systems kind of came out of this as like a supplement. It could have been run under Red Letter, but I chose to separate it because I think the missions are going to be different. Modular Target Systems is also going to have a missions aspect to it, which we're working on right now. It's going to have a couple cool little things that we do to incorporate that, like what we believe in. And not everybody's going to agree with it, but I don't care. It's my company. But yeah, Red Letter has been a really fun adventure. We do a lot of events. We do a lot of training. It's still my full-time thing right now. Modular is actually my part-time thing, but we're growing into scaling both of them.
When somebody says faith based company, Jesus Christ, faith based company, what does that actually mean? Like what does that give off when people say that? Guys, I hear people say that all the time, but what does that
Right.
mean?
To me, it means utilizing the platform to mesh the two together. So for me, I mean, like you can throw Bible verses and quotes and stuff all day long in your marketing. I don't think that necessarily is the point of a faith based company. I don't even know if that's beneficial, to be honest with you. What is beneficial, I think, is to use whatever platform you have in that business to start conversations around what you believe in. So, for example, one of the things that we do is when we do we have these big women's events. We used to do 3 a year. Now we do one. Usually we bring out anywhere from 30 to 40 women, do this massive weekend of training and little missions projects throughout the weekend. But most importantly, our Bible study and fellowship time. So it's like using platforms like that, being openly willing to talk about what you believe in and helping people understand how the two correlate with each other. Like me and mom constantly talk about why we think self-defense is relevant and biblical, right? So being open about that. But most importantly, I think it's just using opportunities every time you have the chance to insert your faith into it. Like I think that's the most important aspect, if that makes sense.
Definitely makes sense. I hear it and I just like, hey, ask her what exactly when somebody says faith based, because
Yeah,
I was like, you may get
absolutely.
an audience when they see this, don't come after, because you said don't throw scriptures into it. So you know the Bible thumpers may come after you for that. You can't don't talk about my scriptures now. Don't do that.
Yeah,
But
we have scripture in our marketing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just don't think that's the only thing that you can have and call it a faith based business. I think you got to do a little bit more than that.
and I'm gonna say true. I think the more you put boots on the ground and hands on people, giving
Mm-hmm.
good energy, I think is the ultimate. I mean, yeah, you throw in you're giving faith and giving that through helping people and being out there in the world, actually putting hands and feet and educating. And once they see it, they may be open to ask you this may happen, and that way you can bring them in. Because it's a lot of people out there now are confused about this and that. Is churches, it could be this, or it's just a lot and get into it too much. But
Well, that's a
church,
good point though, because like what you just said, like it can be confusing. Church can be confusing. It can be totally foreign to somebody. But going to a training class and casually talking to somebody that runs the business or talking to other students there, having conversations that normally wouldn't be had in a training environment. I think that's where the faith based thing comes in, because it's like there, if you didn't go to church, you might not have otherwise had that conversation. But there's people that come to Red Letter events that come for the training and just happen to hear us talking about the gospel. And that's the cool part about it, is like we don't force people into sitting through our Bible studies or listening to us when we're talking about it. However, just by the pure nature of them being there, they're going to be in contact with it in some way. And obviously we're open about it. We tell people like, hey, if you don't want to come to the Bible study, you don't have to, but like just be aware that we do talk about it a lot at our events. So we don't like blindside people with it, but it's kind of that casual, like, friendly conversation that might not have otherwise happened if it hadn't been for the platform that you've been given, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this, because you can go to church, it's cool, but a church can. This may sound crazy. Church can be a place where you don't feel like you comfortable enough by opening up in a church because you don't want to
Absolutely.
be judged in certain
Yeah.
aspects, or you don't know enough to ask the right questions or know enough about the Bible to to say or speak in a way
Yeah.
at church talk, church speak. But I go to a Bible class and it's like all men. So we talk about more men. Well, it's two Bible studies. They also on the same day. And my homie started it during COVID, and it kind of started like, hey man, let's talk, let's kick it, and then he's because he a Bible thumper, but that's another long conversation why I get it. But he started calling us during COVID, and we were just kicking it, and we would talk about Bible scripture. He was always checking on us, and then I started checking on him, and we kind of like start checking on the homies. And different people was going through different stuff. We had our issue here. My wife was locked in a room for like 2-3 weeks because we had it real bad. She had it bad, but that kind of helped me get through a lot of different, the dark times or whatever. And then that was during COVID, like when it was first out there, and we still
Yeah.
been doing the Bible study all the way
That's
since
awesome.
then till now. And another Bible I do with my cousin, and it's all men, but it's just a comfortable place to go and talk about everything, and it's always lead back to a Bible. Let's see what the biblical say. Let's see what he says. Let's see what this
Right.
says. And you can open up more in those kind of like
Yeah.
environments because I'm not being judged, and it's not necessarily you
Hmm.
getting it from the pastor where it's like you don't want you don't want to tell the pastor that you didn't help an old lady cross the street, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want
Not
to
as far.
tell. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to go to the pastor and tell him, "Hey man, I didn't help the old lady cross the street. Actually, she got on my damn nerves." You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? Like you don't want it, but you can say I can say that in this group, and
Yeah.
we can.
Right.
Hey man,
Right.
you should have did this and da da da. So I
It's
understand.
informal. Yeah, and you can relate to people in that space. Like I relate to other shooters more so than I honestly relate to a lot of the people in the church I go to, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's good to get into different environments with different types of people, but you're right. I'm probably more likely to open up around people that I can relate to and have something in common with than somebody I just met a couple weekends ago in a more formal setting. So I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah, I just know it's been working for me and it's cool in that aspect. And then I know just you bringing all that into all your businesses is going to be a blessing somewhere. Starting something off like this and then keep pushing it and starting other companies with the same energy and mindset is just gonna help that company, and it's so on and so on and so forth. So I know you
Appreciate
got some big things going up in there, and hopefully you get to grandmaster and master. I don't even know, a- and I don't even know if that's like a goal of yours to get to
Absolutely. One day I'll
what.
come on your podcast and tell you I made it one day.
Hey, I'm yes, I'm B class, and I just started last year or this season, and I know I could do better if I would have just put the time in the dry fire and just been like serious going into it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna give myself the opportunity because I was like, man, I'm competitive, like super competitive. So I was like, oh, this ain't gonna work. I'm gonna have to do better next year. So I know me putting in the work. I hope I'm gonna get to. I'm not trying to get the grandmaster. It like the homies say, man, it's hard to go from B to A, and then super hard like to jumps after that. It's just like you really got to be tuned in and disciplined in. I'm just like, man, I got a 9 to 5 job. I got kids. Wife want to go on
Yeah,
vacation. I got a
fair.
dog that bothers me. I just got too much going on. I like to shoot two different matches, two gun and
Right.
pistol and USPSA. So, and I
Yeah.
do podcasts, so I got a lot. But it is when I get out there, it's kind of like I- I'm relaxed,
You
I'm
have fun.
chilling. I'm
Yeah, you have
focused
fun.
on focused on what's in front of me. I'm focused on that dot. I'm focused on that target. So I just know me putting in some dry fire work is gonna get definitely is gonna get better. What is some of the things that you carried over from, like, I know you mentioned about um um coaching, business coaching, and
Mhm.
I'm assuming you did a lot of it seemed like you paid a lot of money for business coaching, and you pay a lot of money for USPS, like, shooting coaching. Like, did some of those kind of paths kind of cross, like, oh, I learned this over
Mhm.
here in shooting, and they already talking about this in the
Yeah.
business world?
I would say like there's a lot of mental aspects to both. I mentioned earlier the mindset of being able to work yourself through something negative happening to you. That's definitely, important on both ends. Um, just the mental discipline of just being able to hold it together when things aren't going your way. I think that's a big component of it. Business wise, I haven't. This is one thing that's kind of, I don't know if I've necessarily. Yeah, I guess you could say I've learned from both. Is I don't give myself a stringent budget on investing in myself, like my learning, right? So that's something that personally for me at this stage of my life, like I'm single, I got a dog, I have businesses, and I got some other things going on, right? I'm at a stage in my life where I can invest in myself and I choose to put that money into education typically. So that's something I don't hold back from in both the shooting coaching world and the business world. It's like I see a lot of value in paying for myself to improve in some aspect. With that being said, though, I think there is a little bit of a business coaching. It can get kind of funny. It depends on what you're looking for. You got to manage expectations there. I think there's a lot of things that I paid for in the past when it came to business coaching specifically that I really just needed to figure out myself. Like it didn't necessarily propel me farther forward faster than it would have if I had just gotten in there and dug a little bit deeper. Most of the things that you're going to learn as a business owner and you're going to pay for from a business coach, you already know. You just need to have the discipline to go execute. That's a hard lesson I learned, and
So
sometimes the same applies in shooting, I think.
so you saying don't always buy the 69.99 5-week course to teach you how to scale your business or do this or your business. I can show you how to make $100,000 in 6 months. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I think to a point sometimes it's helpful, right? Like there's a lot of books that I could very much attest scaling red letter. I can source it right back to some of the stuff I learned in those books, right? I think it's the nice shiny object, and the next shiny object is where you got to be careful. Where it's like, oh, this guy is promising X, Y, and Z. It's like, take a step back and like really figure out what you need as a business owner, because like I said, 9 times out of 10, business is simple. It's not complicated. A lot of times you know exactly where you need what you need to do, what you need to spend money on, what you need to spend your time on. You're just not doing it for some reason. It's either time, money, energy, you're being lazy, you're procrastinating it, it's something difficult you don't want to face or do. A lot of times you know exactly what you need to do. Just like sometimes with the shooting stuff as well. It's like I know right now exactly what I need to dry fire to improve my accuracy in my matches, right? But maybe I'm not spending the amount of time I need to be doing that drill or we're doing focusing on those skills. It's like, so I just say, if you're going to go that direction, especially in business coaching, I think you have to have hit a major plateau and tried every option available, exhausted every means that you possibly had before going that direction. Would be my advice.
Yeah, so when the influencers say, I can make I can sell 1 million of your products. Just let me have one for free. I can I can do this.
Possibly,
Yeah, I can do that. So
yeah.
let me ask you this. And what would the you now say to a younger you that's trying to get into the business, into especially in the 2A world, when they, what ideas, or what would you say to them?
Oh man, there'd be so much.
And I said the
Um,
younger you, I didn't guess how old you were, but just saying somebody of somebody since where you at now, and
yeah,
somebody just started in the 2A space and in the gun industry trying to create or be whatever, male or
yeah.
female, because female is gonna be it's an extra probably conversation. So what would you say to
Yeah.
a male or a person that's coming into the world and then maybe
Mhm.
switches like, oh, if from a female coming into the space?
To space, a business space and firearms directly. I would say when I first got into the training game, right, the only thing I focused on was, well, and this is a good thing, right? I think there's a time period where you need to focus on your product. You need to focus on making yourself the best instructor you possibly can be. You need to put your time in, get time with students, get time teaching and whatnot. When I first started Red Letter for the first 3.5 years, just about, I was on the range just about 8 hours a day, every single day, teaching all day long, right? And that built into a phenomenal, what I think to be a phenomenal product for beginner shooters, like service wise, like our training program. It would not be what it is now if I had not taken that time to do so. So it's like there's a certain amount of time that you have to put in to make the product well, or make the product really, really good. Once you've established some sort of baseline product, you also need to be thinking about the business aspect of it and how you can scale it to be sustainable, because there's a difference between knowing what's possible and knowing what's sustainable long term. Um, and the business aspect is something that I think a lot of trainers out there and people in the firearms world don't necessarily think about. They just kind of like, they're like, I love shooting guns. I love going out there on the range teaching people. And I want to throw a business on it because I want to be able to make money from it or whatever. And then they never focus on the actual business aspect of it. They just don't see it as a benefit. And I actually think it's the opposite, where owning a business is one of the coolest things you can possibly do. You literally have creative freedom to do whatever the hell you want. The only person that can really tell you no is the IRS and you. So it's like, getting creative is one of the best parts of being a business owner. And getting as much education, whether it's informal or formal, as you possibly can help. But it's just getting in there, grinding and getting the experience and trying different things and not being afraid to pivot. So I guess, like, I don't know, there's a lot of advice I would tell my younger self. But I think one of them would be just don't be afraid to look into different areas and avenues of how to scale the business, because at some point you're going to hit a point where you realize you can't do this, and you can't do this in the long game because of how you're structuring things. Like, you can't teach 8 hours a day on the range all day forever. That's not sustainable. You have to look into the business aspect of it. I don't know if that's advice necessarily, but I know that's where I found myself in a lot of burnout. Like, if you look at a picture of me from that time period of my life to a picture of me now and compare the two, I actually have one up on my Instagram right now. It's a tweet post I made a couple months ago. It is two completely different people, because we are in two completely different parts of life, because I figured out how to scale the business in a way that I wasn't, there all day, every day, while still maintaining a great product and bringing people in who knew what they were talking about. And just doing things create like in a more think outside the box kind of way, if that makes sense. So I just
Yeah,
say don't neglect learning about the business and trying different things.
yeah, I can see that. To burn out and then don't like you have to be your best self because you got a lot of businesses. You don't want to burn out because you might be messing up the next idea for the next business that you have or that business, whatever ones you created. If you burn out, it may
Yeah,
not pop. It may not be good
yeah,
for the whole collective of, things you got going on. So you
right,
have to kind of delegate some type of responsibility to someone else to take some off of you
yeah,
so you can be your best person. You can be the best you for
yeah,
everything, for everybody. So I
right.
definitely understand that. So hey, I'm gonna put you on the spot. You ready?
Oh boy.
What and I had to look this up. I was gonna be transparent. What's your favorite Bible verse?
First Peter 3:15. That is red letters. That is red letters verse, and I actually have a really cool story about that if you want to hear it. So First Peter 3:15 uh, is a verse that I chose when I started Red Letter, and I didn't necessarily know why at the time, but it kept coming up and it kept like popping up in my life, and thought it was really interesting. It's basically the premise of it is always be ready to give an answer for the hope that you have. Basically, be able to explain why you believe what you believe. And when I first started Red Letter, I'm 27 years old right now. I started Red Letter when I was like, gosh, it was like 2020. It was right when COVID happened, so you can do the math. But young Christian, still a young Christian, always trying to figure out the why behind things. And I grew up as a Christian. I grew up in a household that really fostered my faith. My mom is a very devout Christian. My dad is too. But I was still very young and immature in my faith life, and I had a lot of questions. I had a lot of really really hard questions that I didn't know how to ask. So rolling into Red Letter, it was like, okay, I know I want to pick a verse. I don't really know what verse correlates exactly with what I'm trying to do, but for some reason, First Peter 3:15 kept coming up, and it has nothing to do with self defense, which is why I think it's funny that I chose it. But anyway, chose the verse, went through a couple of years of trying to learn how to combine mission work with the business stuff, with the self-defense stuff, the shooting and whatnot. I always would divert the questions that I got from students about the gospel and about like faith to my mom, because I thought she was just so much wiser and more prepared to talk about those things and answer those questions. I had this big fear of messing up the answer when somebody would ask me. Like, I wanted to get it perfect. But really, I just needed to grow my confidence in my faith and learn how to discuss it in a way that other people understood and in a way that I understood in my own heart. So that's a long kind of workaround. But a couple years back, I ended up kind of coming across apologetics. Do you know what apologetics are?
No.
Okay, so apologetics is really cool. It's like a combination of theology, science, math, a little bit of like philosophy. Like it's asking basically the toughest questions known to man and like digging into the answers. So, for example, why does God allow suffering? Like, why would a good God allow suffering? You know, the historical and like the evidence behind like why Jesus was who he says he was, basically. Like these really tough questions that as a Christian you almost feel guilty asking. Those are the questions that were holding me back from being a really confident believer that wasn't afraid to talk about these subjects. And funny enough, like I came across apologetics, had a couple buddies recommend some books to me. Just went full blown like nerd research on it. That's like ever since then, that's pretty much all I read is just apologetics books by C.S. Lewis, William Lane Craig, Lee Strobel, like the big guys in that space, because it's helped me develop my confidence. And I say all this to say that it's funny because anytime you open up an apologetics book, the main verse that pops up, usually it's on like the front cover somewhere, is First Peter 3:15. It's an apologetics verse. Like that's the staple verse for it. And it wasn't until I had discovered apologetics that I felt fully confident to walk into conversations and talk to people about this. I didn't. I don't know. I no longer feel the need to send them over to mom to ask them the questions, because I'm like, mom can answer this better than I can. Now I feel like I'm like, okay, I can have these conversations, but I would never have discovered this part of Christianity. I would have never developed that aspect of faith if it weren't for, I mean, maybe I would have. I can't say I would have never, but it was because of Red Letter that I discovered that part. And I feel like it's really cool that like over the years, God has exposed why that verse kept popping up when I first started the company. So I
So
like that's a if that's a kind of interesting lead into why that's my favorite verse. That's
so
why.
you said First Peter, I can't talk tonight. First Peter 3:15.
Yep.
Okay.
It's funny because my dog's name is Peter, because we found Peter, my dog, on the side of the road going to a Red Letter event.
Hey, he put things in your pathway to let you know he's there. My favorite verse was I had to Philippians 4:13.
Oh, that's a
Um,
good one.
God can I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me. And that was kind of I was in high school and our coach was real religious. And
Mhm.
say real religious is kind of weird. He's a faith man, faith based,
Mhm.
faith per.
Yeah.
Just went to church, whatever. Just real knowledgeable, and
Mhm.
very positive. And to say he was real religious is kind of like you supposed to be. That's what you're supposed to be, right? Supposed to
Yeah.
believe. He's a
Yeah.
believer. So we used to always in the middle of practice, he'd just stop practice. We all sit down on the ground. He'll whip his Bible out in his chair, say, "Remember this verse." And then you're gonna have to talk about it next week or something. It was always something. Just always giving us game, always giving us Bible verses, always giving us scriptures, always giving us things from the Bible, positive. And we kids from neighborhoods.
Mhm.
I'm from Detroit. So we kids from different neighborhoods, like different backgrounds, not all good backgrounds, right? So that was one place they can corral us and get us together. We was all on one team, one mind. Like we say at work, one band, one sound. That's how he was. And that was just a scripture that to this day, some of my homies in the neighborhood, if I ask them that, they can just spit it out like it's nothing. And then it'd be something
That's
else come.
awesome.
Then it's something else they talk about that's way off track, but they remember that Bible verse. But um
That's awesome.
yeah, so it's cool to find out that faith based and that's what you bring to the table in all your businesses and what you do and what you believe, and you're not
Yeah.
steering away from that. You kind of actually, like you said, we talked about it before. You didn't feel right talking to the pastor about it because you didn't know, but
Mhm.
you kind of figured out what it was, and then you kind
Mhm.
of start opening yourself up to it. Now, just quick
Yeah.
question: What was guns? Were guns? Did you bring guns to the family, or it was guns was around, or they knew what it was, or they taught you about gun safety and all that when you were young? How does that? How did
Oh,
that work?
actually, I think so. My mom shot IDPA and concealed carry for a couple years before I. Yeah, she's super cool. Like she's awesome.
Whoa!
Yeah, she shot a little bit of, or I'm sorry, not IDPA, GADPA. GADPA. That's what she was shooting. Did GADPA, did some classes, concealed carried, had a gun in the home for a couple years before I believe I left for the military. I think that's the timeline. It's been a while. So I was like lightly exposed to it. I wasn't full blown like grew up shooting guns and stuff. Like really, the first serious training and contact I had was getting in the military and like going through training and learning the basics of it. But like I said, I definitely sucked and I
But it
had to
wasn't
do a
anti. It wasn't an anti gun household. I guess it was like, oh, what
no,
is she
we
doing?
just
Okay.
yeah, we just weren't super into the gun stuff when I was growing up.
Yeah, yeah. People. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My world's a little different. It's not
What's
that.
yours? Did you
My
have an
world. It was. Huh?
anti-gun? Well, did you have an anti-gun household
No, no,
growing
no,
up?
no, 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 no. It wasn't anti-gun, not at all. We had property down south, so when I was young, they used to go to New Orleans and shoot
Oh,
shotguns on
cool.
our property, 22s, and I was like 8, shot a shotgun, and I haven't picked one up since then. And
Fair.
but in like in my world where we come from, like the gun firearms or guns is a taboo thing, and it's always a negative thing. So
Mhm.
when I grew up when I was young, they were there
Yeah.
in a different way, right? They were presented to us in a different way. Um, to you, it's presented different. In my world, it's presented different to me. And as we
Right.
grew up, we never knew the proper way or how to obtain it because you couldn't because backgrounds was this, or backgrounds was that. So once I got into it and started this podcast, and there's another podcast trying to educate the uneducated and to give game to the ones that need it. And it's mainly people from our communities, people that look like me, that may want to get into the world of competition shooting this or that. But you gotta,
Yeah.
I'm showing you the way how to do it properly, right? So it
Right.
wasn't
Right.
anti, it was just like, we grew up in a world where, you know, if you had it on you legally or illegally, it could be a different situation, regardless of what,
Yeah.
regardless of what it
That
is.
makes
So
sense. makes sense.
that's kind of, you know what I'm saying, one of those things where it's not that we anti, just be careful.
Right,
You know,
right. Different view on it,
just a
basically.
view,
Like,
right? Just be careful, because regardless you right or wrong or whatever, it could be. But it's getting better. But just the education of it, it's just not,
mhm,
some of the homies not just educated enough to understand what you can and can't do, or can and can't have. Some people thought
mhm.
even having a CPL was a trick, right? Because it's so much outside of just owning a firearm and going to the class, getting a CPL, and going home. It's a lot more information that you need to
Yeah,
know and be aware of to even
right.
own that firearm. To be a responsible armed citizen comes with training, paying for education, learning it. Not just, oh, I got my certificate, I'm gonna go to the county, get my card, wait, have a gun. Oh, I'm carrying it. This, and this. Nah, no. So
Yeah,
it's,
totally agree.
you know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot. But I want to thank you for giving me the time to
Thank
interview
you for giving
you.
me the
Hey man,
platform.
I was excited and geeked to do it. I was just like, man, I'm gonna get in here on the launch. I need to get these things on this little. I got a little pole thing right here. I can throw it on, be dry firing. Um,
We'll have to get you some.
but like I said, man, thanks for I had a great time. Um, thanks for like Aaron AA Ron put me on. I was like, yeah, I would definitely love to interview her and see what she going on. And I listen to the podcast. I'm like, oh, she's the most interesting girl I may know. Like she got a lot of stuff
Thank
going
you. I
on.
appreciate
Hope
that.
you have fun, man. And let us know where we can, let everybody know where they can find you at, because you got like three different companies, and you got a some type of tech company that's coming along. Hopefully, it got something to do with targeting systems, but you
Yeah.
never know. So yeah,
Yeah.
let us know all that good stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So personal account is at Madison Scholar. Scholar is actually my last name. It's SCHOLAR. I'm actually, hopefully, if everything goes as planned, coming out with my own little podcast that's going to talk about the business aspect of things. Hopefully next year. That's one of my goals. Modular Target Systems is literally just at Modular Target Systems. The website, modulartargetsystems.com. We will be doing a launch here in the next couple weeks. Our pre-sale sold out in 45 minutes. So if you want to be a part of that launch, make sure you're subscribed to our email list, which you can find on our Instagram. And then the Red Letter Project is just at theredletterproject.official. That's how you can find all of the information there. We train students from all over the country. You don't have to be based out of Georgia. So just make sure to shoot me a DM. Let me know who you are. I'd love to talk and hear you guys' feedback about the podcast and, opinions and whatnot. I love having conversations with people, and especially if you want to have a conversation about the gospel, Jesus, what we're all about, what we believe in. Happy to do that as well. And like I said, I appreciate you for letting me come on here and talk about my companies and my life. And I definitely enjoyed the conversation. So thank you.
Thank you. I try my best. I'm trying to keep up with AA Ron. I'm trying to keep up with the gun.
Y'all are both awesome.
Yeah, Gun Club Radio. I'm trying to keep up. Give me 1 second. All right, though, everybody. That was the interview with Miss Madison from a bunch of different companies. She's a lead instructor of the Red Letter. She got targeting systems. She got other things going on. It was just an awesome interview. I hope you like it. Like I said, the Pop Culture Podcast, we're trying to venture out and do more interviews. I'm glad I got a woman on. Talk about competition shooting. She talked about her religion. She talked about her companies. So it was just a fun-filled conversation with the lovely Miss Madison. So listen, at the bottom, hit that, smash that like and subscribe button at the bottom, man. We try to be everywhere like space. Pass it around, share, comment. We need the comments at the bottom. Tell us how you liked the podcast. What was the best part of it? What you didn't like. If you didn't like it, I don't care. Leave a comment. Maybe we can improve it, or maybe it's just you. Whatever. Anyways, man, that's it from me, man. Please, like I said, please subscribe to the channel. Game recognize game. We recognize you, so please recognize us. And we out. Peace.